Welcome to the Funded Now What podcast with your host, Andrew Lee Miller. Brought to you by Growth Experts. You are in store for a chat about funding, marketing, startups, and all things growth.
Hello and welcome back to the Funded Now What podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Lee Miller, also known as Andrew Startups. And today I have a founder coming in all the way from Stockholm, Sweden. We've got Elin Breitholtz here, who is the founder and CEO of Sakura. Sakura is a mental health and wellness platform where businesses and individuals can book sessions with practitioners across 100 different disciplines. I found out about her after she just raised 3 million Swedish krona. And I thought it was a really interesting thing in the world where everyone's stressed and burnt out. And we try to learn from Instagram, which just causes more burnout. And so you need a real expert opportunity. And that's what Sakura provides. Ellen, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Andrew. Good to be here. Talk a little emotional health.
Yeah. So tell us, what did I not say in my intro? Why did you start this, and what does the platform do for people?
Yeah, so Sakura essentially, of course, starting Sakura from my own perspective was very kind of rooted in my own experiences as a younger woman and kind of on the spectrum of all sorts of emotional states, which are very difficult to handle. And in my own starting Sakura, those kinds of experiences in my own life kind of pushed me into either I kind of give up, or the other choice is that I have to find solutions to, my emotional states. And that led me in my personal life on this path of exploring in depth and in actuality, what is it that makes up human suffering versus, well-being within a human. If we can learn how to, how does a car work? What makes a car break down? What makes a car, run smoothly and healthily? We should be able to kind of do that, the same thing for humans. So it started, kind of on my own palette, and of course, watching the world around. We're very much in, of course, the crisis mode when it comes to emotional or mental health. And so Sakura really is born out of this desire of my own to create a bridge between the same kind of resources we have when we go to a car mechanic, for our car, or we go to check out our iPhone that's not working properly. What's wrong? What do we do when iPhone is broken? We really do need resources in the world and access to that understanding. What do we do if a human is broken, and what do we do to understand the mechanics of
an issue with this? Okay. So how many total practitioners do you have on the platform now?
We have somewhere above 100 practitioners. Okay. We do have a lot that's in the backlog that's being onboarded. We have approximately 50 applications per 2 weeks, and then we kind of stop them because we have to focus on other areas. But we do see a very, very fast and high pressure on the.
Of course. Yeah, everyone wants to make more money and help more people. It's a two-sided marketplace from what I hear. So from what I see, so you have experts and then you have customers. With every two-sided marketplace, there's always one side, usually the supply side, that's very easy because it's a no-lose offer for them. You get to help more people. We find you the customers. We make you more money. We promote you. We do your marketing. We make you more famous. Why would they say no? The harder part is getting the customers in, getting people to prioritize their wellness before it's too late, getting people to put money towards something that they think they can fix for free on YouTube or Instagram. Or getting them to take time out of their day to care about themselves when, the rest of the world is burning and falling apart. That's the hard part. Yeah. So I also saw that you're selling B2B and B2C. Which part has been easier for you to scale?
Great question. There's kind of a two-part answer to that question because we do have about 90% of our current revenue coming through the B2B side. But given that we are also a platform where the tech is actually kind of a hybrid solution. So what I mean by that is that as an individual, you can both act as a private sector individual on the platform, or you can get support from your company on a specific area of expertise that your company has funded and approved on their side according to their KPIs and kind of goals. And this means that while our biggest focus right now is on the B2B, and it's what has been the easiest to scale because we also kind of tend to a little bit of bigger companies where we can work a little bit deeper and long term, of course. We do also see that the private sector side is both kind of included into that B2B side, because as soon as someone books something outside of the support of their company, they're also kind of categorized as a private sector. But we do also see a very quite high KPI for recurring customers. And so as soon as we start getting, kind of a higher degree of bookings than on the private sector, we also see that they kind of stick around, which is really good.
That's a sign of a good product. That's good.
Yeah.
I mean, usually what I see with companies that are B2B and B2C is that B2B scales faster, and then we use that money to reinvest into growing the customer base in B2C, because I always say it's easier to get a company to spend 10,000 than it is to get a person to spend 10. And the reason that is because companies have budgets already and they need to spend it, and they're looking for ways to attract and retain employees, but also the ROI is clearly there. I started telling you offline that I have scaled a project in this space before. My wife and I, during COVID, my wife is in the wellness space. And during COVID, I do SEO and Google stuff all day. I noticed that there was a need for this. So we started a company called Remote Team Wellness and got a very keyword dense URL, got it to the first page of Google very quickly, and ended up, we didn't do any tech. We just did live sessions for employees. But from that, we worked with Netflix, Dell, Cisco, Microsoft, Headspace, L'Oreal, a bunch of companies. I'm good at marketing, obviously, and so that was easy. But what I noticed is companies really do look for an easy thing that they can just kind of check off the box. I mean, yes, they want to take care of their employees, but they are more impressed by PR and outshining any other company that we're doing this. And so I don't know if you're seeing this, but the decision makers when we were doing that business were the HR and people teams. Is that what you see in Sweden as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think the really kind of exciting part, if you're someone who kind of wants to help humanity and the world feel a little bit better, is also that I agree with everything you're saying on the business side, of course, but it's also very exciting, especially in Sweden, and maybe you can tell me if it's the same where you are, but there's a very heightened sense of conversation right now on, the correlations between both sick leave costs and all of the costs related to one person, having to go on sick leave, and other things as well, such as productivity and, efficiency and all of these types of values that companies have. And what we see right now is that it's kind of hard to go back under the rock and kind of hide there, because the sort of bond between these two factors are very, very clear and very obvious and very spoken about. So I think that's something that also makes it a little bit easier, of course, to come into the market.
It's the right timing. I'll be honest and transparent and frank about America. America doesn't care. America is a business more than any other country, and American businesses, even if I get in trouble for saying this, because I was in the space for 3 years. The business is now closed down, but we were highly profitable for 3 years. And my wife went on to do other things. But we saw that by giving the companies a positive email blast to all employees, like, we're paying for this session, we're doing this, that was one of the motivating things. The HR team wants to look good to their company. Yes, it's proven now that they get really positive return on those dollars. I think it was for every dollar you spend on employee wellness, you get $3.60 savings on sick days and hospital leave and insurance costs and things like that. And so that's obvious, but they want the immediate ability to show that they're a forward-thinking company, that they're investing in employee wellness to be able to retain and attract exciting talent. I think that the other things are there and the cost savings are there, and that's really also a lever. It depends on the size of the organization and what the mindset of the people are that are making those decisions. But marketing definitely plays a piece. They want to be able to promote. And lately in America, I think I've seen it kind of going down, actually, the desire to look like a better workplace than other places. It's a buyer's market for hiring these days in the United States. So as opposed to 5-10 years ago where they had to really show, it was in office before. So it was like, we have the ping pong table and the beer keg and we have a coffee machine in the office. Now it's like, how do they retain employees? So something virtual and hybrid like this is a way for companies to be able to show that it's a more exciting workplace. And they do look for solutions that are easier on their pocketbook than just offering more money. So you might be, if you're a prospective employee that is interested in, you have 2 job offers and one company pays a little less, but they actually invest in your wellness and you have a much more balanced life and you get access to all these experts and all these other perks, you might be more likely to take that job than the company that's just like, we're a toxic workplace, but we pay you 5 million krona a year or whatever it is. And so that's the idea, I think. And all of that literally comes down to cost savings overall. So that's what they care about, but they act like there's all these other altruistic things there. That's my own pessimistic viewpoint, but I am kind of experienced as well.
I think there's a little bit of truth to that. But it's, it's interesting. How do you feel that the US market is responding in terms of this kind of action-oriented next step? Because I think there's an interesting staircase as well, a little bit between having the conversation of, well, we understand these correlations. We understand that, we would like to retain talent by being a more attractive workplace. But how do you think the US market kind of responds to that in terms of turning that into an action step,
I think the US is kind of trying not to sink the ship right now. Things are kind of a shit show, to be honest. And so I think like people are just trying to stay employed and take care of their family and just keep from crashing the whole plane. And I can't blame them. I'm actually not in the US most of this year so far. I need to be in San Francisco, but I'm in Brazil right now. But I just leave when things get tough, but San Francisco is its own little bubble too. It's very different than the rest of the United States. Like, we're absolutely in a boom right now. The rest of the country, maybe not as much. People are worried about a recession and worried about things that the president might do. But in San Francisco, the AI boom is absolutely making it like, 1995, like Google being created all over again. And so things are really positive and looking up in San Francisco. And so I'm in a bit of a bubble. That's the US that I know about. The rest of the country, I think like companies are laying off employees, stereotypically like thinning down and expecting that there's going to be a recession. So they're trying to be a little bit more cognizant of that and careful and expecting a long winter, as you would say, maybe in Switzerland. Sweden. Sorry about that. And but that's a long topic for another podcast. I went off topic there a little bit. I want to focus on your marketing. So you raised money. Now what are you going to do? Funded. Now what? What do you do with the money to grow your company?
Yeah, what an exciting question. Well, of course, product building and marketing are 2 very big factors in our current phase. And we're one of those companies who have kind of a quite, interesting and exciting scope that we're building. And of course, for any tech company, it's you're kind of going in this, building a little bit more, testing feedback, phase, and then market research and building a little bit more. And then it's kind of that back and forth process. And that's also where I'd say that we are currently. We have this long list of features, and then we're kind of building step by step. But in terms of marketing, which is one of my favorite subjects, I think it's one of the coolest parts of building an organization is
flattery will get you everywhere.
Exactly. I'm talking to the right person. No, but it's part of our go-to-market right now is media and kind of reaching that broad awareness in society, because of course we're building a product that we want to really establish as a go-to stable part of society to go for for resources for emotional health. And so media, of course, ads is a big part of it too, in terms of
so you're running ads and spending money on media to grow the company. Is that what you're saying?
Those are the paid market side.
Where are you running the ads? What this is in Sweden, so I can't tell you if it's right or wrong, but I don't know the market. I've never run ads in Sweden, I don't think.
Well, we've tested a few different, not to put some of them on the spot, but we've actually kind of landed in Meta ads, highest ROI for us thus far. So that's kind of where we've gone. We also, of course, have a lot of measures that are not on the cost side for marketing, which are all kinds of, HR events and
So my next question, Meta ads can work for the B2C, not for the B2B. So you're paying to acquire the B2C, which I think is fair, but with only raising 3 million krona, which is 300K for anybody that's listening, I would not be spending money to acquire a regular customer right now. I would be focused on the B2B. So we're going to talk about that. But before I get into that, you have 100 different disciplines of facilitators. Which facilitators are converting the customers the most? Like, people are coming in for yoga, meditation, mindfulness, depression, mental health. Like, what is it, the thing? What is nutritional, financial wellness? What is converting people the most?
Actually, right now it's within the scope of stress management and the
makes sense.
Stress. Yeah. Also, of course, it's a very highly talked about subject in the workplace, and it's also where a lot of companies seem to want to also invest their resources. It's a very kind of tangible correlation to the company KPIs. And of course, I agree with you there that I really like the perspective of investing most marketing into B2B and kind of reinvesting into the private sector. And I would say definitely is what we're doing. We do, however, have, we kind of notice as well that the private sector is quite good for feedback and building the product and keeping kind of that sector a little bit alive to get those quicker bookings in, because on the B2B side, we work with, we do deals for agreements for 1 to 2 years, and then you set up kind of a resource based on those agreements. And then another part of marketing, of course, then becomes the company's leadership, HR, and then out to the actual employees. And that's actually another string of marketing that we're working quite diligently on, to make sure that we can also influence and be part of that product, process. But still, we're seeing that on the B2C side, which is of course still 10% of our focus, it still kind of aids us a little bit in having that quicker booking feedback.
Because it's faster. It takes time to close companies. There's a sales cycle, so Okay, I think I've got some gold for you. We'll start with that. The way to reduce the sales cycle is to not only do outbound marketing. So outbound means reaching out on LinkedIn, reaching out on email. I've talked about that a lot on the podcast. I'm not going to waste anybody's time listening to the same strategies, but that still works. That'll get you the meetings with the big leads. That'll get you the conversations with the CEOs and the HR team. So you have to do that. The way to get short sales cycle B2B clients is from inbound, and that is SEO and blogging and content creation. And what that means is if you go and you search, wellness services for companies in Sweden or in Stockholm or whatever, the blogs that come up, you can pay to promote your stuff on them. You might even just be able to do a commission agreement. And then they already come up on Google. The people that find you there, they're seeing that you are referred, even if it's paid, by a brand and a blog that they already know about. They're seeing that you come up early and high up on Google, which creates a false sense of trust. I mean, it's just like having a nice website design. If you come up at the top of Google, then they trust you. And when they reach out to you, the sales cycle actually is very short. That's usually because CEO yells at director of HR and says, hey, we need to reduce the stress of the employees, or more likely, I want to do something fun for the employees that isn't like an alcohol fueled party and everybody doing snuff or whatever in Swedish joke. But, and so then they go and they Google, fun things to do for my team in Stockholm. Like you can create hundreds of these articles now with AI, and don't just repost what is on the AI. We rewrite it. We edit it as much as possible, but we make it keyword dense and based on a search term like that. So what to do for your team, how to reduce my team stress, events, team building. There's like literally 1,000 things you can write about. And within 30, 60, 90 days, I mean, you have to do other SEO related things, which I can get into if you don't have any knowledge in your team about that. You'll start to see that traffic will come in. You can also, if you're spending money on Meta, which most companies do because it's so easy, you can take 10% of that budget and put it towards Google search. Google search is being decimated right now by AI, but it still brings in really high quality traffic because people are searching for the thing that you deliver. So even if it's 10 krona a click, you're going to have a high ROI if 1 out of 100 people still book a meeting with you and you close 50% of those meetings. So because of what you're offering is pretty high ticket, you can spend a lot of money to test advertising. So I cannot stress how important Google search still is. At the same time, ChatGPT is also becoming like a recommendation engine. So there's SEO and then there's AEO, answer engine optimization. And what we find is creating those articles for Google actually then influences ChatGPT and helps people go, oh, what should I do for my team? I'm in HR. Imagine you're an HR manager at this company in Stockholm and you have this many employees and everyone's stressed. And it'll say, great, I just checked on the internet. It looks like you can go on Sakura and book a stress management session. And then that person, it doesn't take a lot of sales. Our brains are now trained to just whatever ChatGPT says, it's smarter than me. So it must know the best company. So they book a 30-minute meeting and then you send them a proposal or something and they move forwards very quick. We're seeing that same effect with growth experts. We wrote like already maybe 70, 80 blogs this year and all related to search topics. So they're not like no longer educational articles. They're more listicles. So, top 15 fractional CMOs in the United States or in San Francisco. Of course, we put me as number one. I have the background to back it up if anybody wants to fight or argue about that. But then I put 14 other ladies and men below me, and then Google and ChatGPT looks at that as an unbiased article. It's a growth hack thing, but it's not a lie. I mean, other people have put me in their list, and it is what it is. So then you're getting recommended in Google and by ChatGPT. And the whole long story is just to say that the sales cycle is very short if you focus on that kind of marketing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Super good marketing advice, and I'd love to talk more to you about that. It's also such a new kind of ingredient bringing in ChatGPT and AI, and
Yeah.
I definitely want to ask you, like, where would people go including myself, I'm putting myself into that boat to learn more about how to use AI and ChatGPT specifically for
marketing. So,
SEO.
I think we learn by doing. First thing you want to do is make sure that you stay up on your analytics. You have a web app, or just a mobile app?
Right now, mobile app.
Okay. So with mobile app, you're not going to get as much. And actually, I should have asked that beforehand. So all the SEO stuff doesn't matter than what I said. You're never going to get strong search engine recommendations from Google to a website that's just pushing people to download an app. Google's smart. They can recognize that. That's why you see most mobile first startups, they have a really shitty, small website. There's no scrolling ability, and the only button is download the app. So we're actually going to change I'll answer your question in a second, but we should talk about ASO. Do you know? Obviously, you know what ASO is, right? Okay. So
yes.
App Store optimization is like SEO, but easier. And then forget what I said about paid. Well, there is some Google ads that we can do. So, okay, I'll come back to that. I know exactly how to grow this business on the B2C side. There's a couple of ways that when you're a mobile business that we should talk about. But with regards to using ChatGPT, it's not really how you use it, it's how ChatGPT uses you. So you put content out there that ranks you, that ranks other competitors, that puts you in listicles, and ChatGPT peruses through and reads all that content to give recommendations to people that are searching. So you have the ability to create the content that ChatGPT looks at. That's why my wife and many other people are like, don't just trust everything you see on ChatGPT. The same way you cannot just trust everything you read in reviews for a hotel. You cannot trust everything that you see on TripAdvisor. You cannot trust anything because it might be made up by a marketer like me. I mean, we believe in fake it till you make it. We do not believe in lying, and there is a big difference. But fake it till you make it means that if I know that what we're talking about is actually superior and is better, and I'm not just marketing something that makes me money that's actually way lower quality. Like, I'm not writing number one mattress in the world, a blog about that, and then buying cheap mattresses from China and promoting them as the number one. That's lying. What I'm saying is we are finding our own top 15 marketers or fractional CMOs, and then putting our someone that we know for 20 years, myself, that has been doing it is worthy of being in that list. And we're just creating the content whilst also reaching out to other blogs to write about us as well. You do both at the same time. So you're not just creating the content all yourself. You're also, like I said, going to Google, searching the term that HR person or that CEO might search, and you are entering that term into Google. And then whatever comes up above your business or your blog, you're going to reach out to them like, hey, we have this amazing service. We'd love to be included in your article. Can we chat about it? Or can I offer you a referral commission? Some charge per click, some charge for per affiliate relationship. Some, they track you with their own URL so they can see how much traffic they're giving to your website. Usually the blog posts are written by non-competitive SaaS products that are just like other HR focused things. So they're happy to include you if you give them a link from your website and you write an article about them, or et cetera. So it's a business development exercise, a content marketing writing exercise as well. And so the partnership side could be CEO, you focusing on it, or it could be your marketer. Hey, I work in marketing at Sakura. I saw that you guys come up. I love this article. I'd love to get our product on there. Let me know what we can do. So that's how you get ChatGPT. ChatGPT is like an after effect of doing it correctly. The same way coming up on Google is an after effect of really fixing your website and increasing the user experience of your website. If it's really easy to understand for a human what your website is all about, and it's keyword dense and they can figure it out by seeing it, then and it's loading fast and clean and it looks good on a mobile phone, then likely Google is also going to love you. And so for a mobile App Store optimization, are you already doing it? What are you doing for the ASO?
Yeah, of course, this is also an ongoing process. I think everything from reviews to imagery, terms and search words, so to speak, is also really important, and kind of experimentation collecting data still on sort of how that works. But it would be super interesting to hear some more of your expertise and advice on how to actually do that. And because I think those are the obvious ones that I just mentioned, right?
That's it. No, that's all it really is so imagery, it matters. It's not something that you want to update regularly. I think the main thing is adding a video. A lot of people don't add a video to the App Store, and if you're budgetarily limited, it can literally just be a recording of the screen, like while you're booking a session. But my opinion would probably be a video of you talking, or a video of a practitioner or facilitator that looks like you. Without sounding really not politically correct, in all of my paid advertising experience, a blonde white chick is the best performing human creative. It's just the truth. Yeah. I mean, like,
won on that one.
You won on that one. Yeah. You won on that one. I mean, there's plenty of scenarios where it's harder in the market to be a woman business founder raising money, I'm sure, not in an advertising. So if, when I talk to bald male founders like myself, I'm like, you need to get somebody else in the ad. It can't be you, but for you, it can be you. And so, that would make the most sense, like something that's really animated, like not animated actually, but like you're actually moving and you're like, I was stressed. I mean, you have this personal experience, so they might just mindlessly click because they see what you look like, and then they would listen to what you say, and then that could increase your conversion rate. So that would be one thing. Keyword stuffing, it sounds bad, but you want to do it ethically. So it's not just Sakura.se. It's not Sakura app. It's like the wellness app for businesses and people or something, whatever fits. That's not going to fit. Sakura -wellness for all or something like that, or wellness consultants or wellness on demand, like whatever there's probably 2 more keywords that you could fit in there that would really help in the name. And then you have subtitle. ChatGPT really helps. You tell it your keywords, you tell it the character limits, and then it'll really help you write it. There's the 4,000, the long description on iOS, I think is 4,000 keywords. That's really where you can add the most stuff in there. And like the secret sauce of how do we just keep writing to 4,000 characters? It's like, who is this for? What does it do? What are the reviews? What are the testimonials? What kind of practitioners? You can just keep adding in keywords like that way. So that's a little bit of an expansion on the stuff you said that was already obvious. But the thing that I think people don't realize is I have a strong suspicion, and nothing's proven, that if you run paid search ads on the App Store, it also helps with your organic, because either Apple is just copying off of Google's algorithm as much as they can, because we know that has been proven with Google. Like if you run paid PPC ads, it does help over time with your search, your SEO, probably because Google's job is, both of their job is to feed you. They don't want you. They would rather have you click on the organic thing than the paid thing. Even though the paid makes them money, the job is to give you the best possible experience. They want you to come back and enjoy searching and find things quickly so you don't get frustrated and be a happy user. So if they're able to serve what the people are looking for organically, they know they'll get more higher click-through rate. And, it's still pretty early days on the paid ads. Are you running iOS ads?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So good, because I think it's not cheap, but it's a lot easier for someone that's already looking to download an app to download your app than someone that's looking at pictures of cats on Facebook or whatever. And so I think like you're a lot of times when we're doing paid advertising, we try to analyze our install to reg percentage. So for those that don't know, the percentage that download the app that also create an account. And then we want to not track our KPI as CPI or cost per install. We want to track cost per registration. So iOS ads, search ads can be like $7, $10, $20 for an install, but then the percentage that registers is 60, 70% if the keywords are strong. So the registration cost is actually lower than a Facebook ad where you're getting an install for $3, $7, but they're only 10% are registering, if that makes sense. So we want to make sure that we're tracking back the registration cost. I suspect it will be high if you do these two things. I mean, it will be high registration, not high cost. You want to target competitor keywords. So anything that any app that's related to wellness, Calm, Headspace, even if it's completely different, these are companies that have a ton of marketing out in the space. Somebody else who's already convinced of downloading Headspace that sees your ad might install you. We see about 40% tap rate, I think, for competitor keywords on the App Store ads. So you'll get some cheap installs that way. Now you do have the ability, I think, to customize the text in the App Store ads. I haven't done a campaign since they launched that, but that's good because before it was just whatever your app listing was. So, you can make a campaign targeted at just meditation apps that says, instead of meditating on your own, work with a professional, and someone will be like, what the fuck? And click that. That's really cool because certain people like myself find it much better to do guided meditation than self-guided or like pre-recorded because I can just shut it off. When a person's on the other end, I can't shut it off. So, and then the other one is keywords. So you're not going to get as much traffic for, nutritional wellness, things like that. The competitors is always going to drive the most installs because again, they're spending millions on marketing. So more people, but I still see some success from that. And so I think are you doing those two things already?
Yes, we are definitely developing those, but so much to learn. And that's why I think it's super exciting to speak with you and kind of hear you share your expertise. It's something that I also think is an interesting kind of question to ask you. When we look at, paid marketing or kind of marketing outside of the App Store, and we're looking at, optimization of, your presence on the App Store, what do you see is happening? Because of course, paid advertisement and kind of the external push on that, of course, by itself gives a lot of, a lot more visibility, of course. But how does it work if you kind of isolate the ad? Like, are people actually searching in App Store nowadays, or do you kind of need that external inflow for
You
it to
need
kind
both.
of work?
I mean, every product, every market is different. I do think more people now than ever are searching for wellness related things. There's more companies, more brands that are out there creating content for their wellness related thing than ever before. My wife has been a yoga and meditation coach for 12 years. And like, it was a very fringe, small community pre-pandemic. And she wanted to start being a virtual facilitator. And that's why I was like, hey, let's make this B2B play because I know it's so much easier, like I said, to get companies to spend money. And like many, many, many people figured out that they need to focus on their wellness over the last few years. And I think some of them figure out through their company paying for stuff. So, that's another thing is you close the company, you get 1,000 individuals that only are, maybe they start using it with their company and then they come directly to you if they really love it. So I think that, yes, it's important to test everything. You don't need to test it with big paid advertising budgets, but the iOS ads are, I think, going to be your highest install to registration because it's just like you can make sure that they were coming in for something similar. And then as long as, I could go in for another 30 minutes. I need to wrap this up in a little bit for you, but the key things to do are keep the message really consistent through ad, opening screen, first registration screen, like everything that they see is like you're one step away from 100 experts in wellness and feeling better for the rest of your life. Like, I'm going to register if I see that. We have to make those bold claims. A lot of people just have the logo show up and doesn't do anything. And then the person's baby starts screaming or the train stops at the next stop and they just close the app and they don't go back to it. And you don't have the ability to message them until they register. So we try to put in keywords and text as much as possible, even when they register. Tooltips. This is how you search through practitioners, et cetera, to really make sure that we get people to go through those steps. Otherwise, you're just paying for nothing and they delete the app. And so that happens. But I think a couple more things. One, the last paid advertising thing I would do is Google UAC campaign. Are you doing those too?
No.
Okay, finally find something that she's not doesn't know about. So a lot of people that have mobile apps, iOS apps, don't think that they should run ads on Google, because why would Google perform better than Apple itself? But it does. It does perform better. You don't get very high quality users that as much, but it's significantly cheaper. So you can run an iOS app campaign on Google Universal App Campaigns. So they put the app banner in Gmail, on a YouTube banner, like on Google Maps, like anything that they own, they show an app install. They own a lot of other apps too, like small chess apps and things like this. And so they'll put your app banner on those places only to people that have an iOS device. And it ends up being very cheap install. It's not as high quality because, again, it's not coming from someone searching for something. It's a display ad. So it's a lower quality install, but it's worth testing to see the cost per registration still. Because if it's 5 times cheaper install and they're still registering only half as much, it's still 2.5 times better than something else. And so that's really easy. It takes like 5 minutes to set up those campaigns. You just upload some creatives, put the app download link, and you just hit go. And you can show to only people that are on Wi-Fi at that time so that they can easily install it. And if they're, Sweden, you got like Wi-Fi everywhere, I'm pretty sure, like on the train and stuff. And so it's not a problem. But if you were in different countries, it's different. But so that I would definitely test as well. Again, that keeps the inflow coming in, like you said. So there's only so many people that can be targeted through keyword searching, right? So what the other way is display, and you're going to hit them all over the place. And it's a lot cheaper than Facebook, so your spend goes further. People see it everywhere. They see the name, the banners, and then you're also able to retarget them. I haven't done a retargeting from the UIC campaign, but anybody that clicks on it that doesn't install the ad, I'm sure you can retarget them across the whole Google network. And so I want to caveat that by just saying, again, Google is losing ground a lot lately, but it does work still. And again, nothing is worth just brushing off and saying, oh, Google doesn't work anymore. It's like, test it with $500 and see if it works. I think you'll be surprised. You'll get like 100 installs, maybe 50 registrations for $500. And then you want to try and figure out how many people from that $500 actually booked a session. Do you know what your LTV is right now? Your average LTV?
Well, it needs to be updated. I think the new fresh number, but I think something that's really, really interesting on this topic, just to add, and by the way, super good advice. I'll definitely go check that out.
Cool.
And I think the summary kind of marketing a lot is experimenting and kind of doing that as cost efficiently as you can, if that's your goal.
Mm-hmm.
But we've kind of tried also kind of compared a little bit meta ads and Google ads, and it would be interesting to hear your point. But we've kind of noticed when experimenting, which seems to be the theme of, you've got to experiment to see how you find people the best way.
Mm-hmm.
But we found that the meta ads tends to be perhaps a little bit more action oriented, and there's a quicker action step. And the Google is a little bit more brand awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Have you noticed that as well, or?
Yeah, for display, just regular Google banner display, yes. But the Google UAC campaign, the call to action is to install the app. So it should work better because they're still pushing them. But yeah, you're right. And again, it's the place that the ads are going. So on Facebook, on Instagram, people are more engaged than I'm coming to a website to read something, and it's just a Google banner on the side. So it's still not as high quality. And that's why the App Store ads are the best, because I'm coming to actually download an app. So you think about the mindset of the person when they're seeing the banner. If I'm searching for something, the intent is high. I'm the highest quality visitor or user that you can get, but Facebook's a little lower, but still good. And then the UAC stuff, hopefully, I mean, again, I said it's lower quality, but because it's the call to action is install an app, you should still get some registrations. And then it's just important for the app to take over at that point. Okay. So one more thing I want to say, and then I have to let you go. The last thing I think, hopefully you're already doing this, is leveraging the practitioners to become little marketing agents for you.
Yes.
Are you doing that? What are you doing in that regard?
Yeah, we definitely want to engage the practitioners. Both, we have a sector of our practitioners that also are kind of switching their booking systems to ours because they like the booking system, and that's super good. But we're quite high value on building community and building kind of a belonging in the community of our providers. And so there's a lot of creative ways that we're trying to incorporate that and work with that. One of them being posting their own videos, presenting what they're doing and who they are and what they help people with, and then of course drawing back into the platform that they've chosen, which is Sakura. And there are so many ways I think of doing that. We've also kind of created a little bit of an affiliate program for the providers to also kind of be instant,
that makes sense. Yeah. That's a good start. So one thing I've noticed from being in the space is that they're not very good business people. They're creatives, they're artists, they love their passion, they're really passionate about their expertise. So the affiliate thing, not that great usually, but creating an offer for them, like a campaign where we want to include you in our ads, or apply to be a brand ambassador, and then you include them in your ads. So I think that's really good. Like people, if there's two things. There's organic and paid. So instead of just telling people to download the app and it's just an image of the product, a video of a nutritionist that's talking about this, and this, or you said stress is a really big thing. Get the top stress management people, and we're going to put you in our ads. You're going to come to our office in Stockholm. We're going to record some videos with you, and we're going to run ads. And then that expert is going to do a stress management breathing session that's actually an ad. That will crush. It will do so good. And then if you want to, that's what Masterclass does. So essentially you are like a Masterclass, right? It's a little bit different, but if you know masterclass.com, they run ads with the facilitator or the expert to the fans of that expert. So that actually is another really big thing I think that you could do. But on the organic side, it's just creating a playbook for them to then promote what they're doing. And then if they hit certain targets, like we give you a unique URL, we give you a t-shirt, here's some guidelines of content that we recommend you make. Here's a templated newsletter that we give you to blast, all this stuff that you give them, social media posts, etc. If they hit certain traffic benchmarks, like you drive this much traffic to us, we'll give you a $1,000 advertising campaign through Sakura for your brand. That's what like platforms like Kickstarter and other companies do that have made a lot of money. If you go and you want to put a crowdfunding campaign on Kickstarter, you have to bring your audience first before they do anything. I have a client that has a Kickstarter campaign going, not Kickstarter, a startup crowdfunding campaign going right now. We had to hit $300,000 raised ourselves before they just sent out an email blast and posted on the website, a banner on the website about our campaign. So we had to do a lot of marketing. So you want to create a campaign like that, because then you have all of these hundreds of people that are applying to you every week. And you can say, we'd love to bring you on the platform. To get there, you need to do this, do that, do this. And then you can let them onto the platform once they've done that and they've gone and they've promoted. It could be like, I'm trying to go live on Sakura and I need your votes. If I can be the number one stress management coach this week on Sakura, whoever tags, it can be something as non-tech as that. If you tag me the most on social talking about why I should be on Sakura, then they're going to put me on the platform. Something as non-tech as that, all the way to a tech thing where, they have a tracking code And if they do a couple posts with the link to Sakura and you see the traffic is coming through their Instagram, then they get included in something, which would probably be an advertising campaign that you, and I have seen a lot, running ads through their profile will also be really good for you. Like they have to do stuff for you. They need to put their Sakura link as their bio link. They need to put the call to action, book a session with me on Sakura in their bio. But if they do those things, then you run ads to their profile, to friends of friends. It will acquire people probably at a rapid clip. And then they come in for that session, and then you have their email, and then you have to email them every day about different sessions they need to book. And, they get push notifications as well about other sessions. People that book this stress management also like this burnout class, and then they book that, and that's how you increase their LTV. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. And I think people like feeling involved and they like feeling useful and needed. So I think it's a beneficial strategy overall. And
yeah. And they're not really good marketers. And so you have a marketing team that you can work for them. All they have to do is step up, and you're giving them something to do for marketing, and they want to do it. They don't know how to do it on their own. So you give them the playbook. I think I already said the last thing like twice, but there are some facilitators that have huge followings, and those are the ones you want to really like work with and give them stuff. And if they post it, then they get, sponsored listing, so if you have 10 stress management professionals, we'll move you up to number one if you post on social media or whatever, and I think you can do that really well. Well, we have run out of time. I've gone over, as I often do when I'm talking to cool startups. Is there anything else you want to say? I mean, not a lot of people listening to this are going to be in Sweden, but how can people find out about Sakura and when you're launching in another country?
Well, the super cool thing is we're building kind of this filter system enabling both languages as a filter. So if you kind of can imagine Airbnb, but for therapy. Mm-hmm. So one of the filters that you can go by is language and place in the world. And we will be, of course, expanding the tech around this, and also the providers outside of Sweden the coming years. But for anyone who is curious, you can download the app, of course, and search, look for your language. And if your language is not there, we'd love, of course, to have you on the journey and look out for when we expand into your country, so to speak. So
awesome.
Yeah, super excited.
Great. Well, thank you for all you do. And I really appreciate this mission, and, heal the world, Elin. We need it. We're all messed up. So
we are a little messed up. We need some help.
Yeah. So thank you so much for being here, and really appreciate you.
That has been another episode of the Funded Now What podcast with your host, Andrew Lee Miller, brought to you by Growth Experts. If you liked the episode, please subscribe. And if you really liked it, please share with other founders and entrepreneurs. Thanks, and we'll see you in the next episode.